the questions we ask are oftentimes more revealing than the statements that we make. And so you might say as a chiropractor, we really care about, patient experience. We want that. But if the question you keep on asking your CA is, have you gotten back with so-and-so? Have you scheduled the appointments? Have you done those recalls? Right? You're subtly,
technology, put it in now.
You're subtly telling them, really, I just care about you doing those tasks that could be automated.
Okay, welcome Genesis Nation. I am super excited to bring these two, very intelligent and on point gentlemen here with Chiro Dominance. So I've got Matt Desino, just like casino. That's what I just learned, and Dar Holdsworth. So it's great. This is my first interview on Genesis Nation with more than one person. So thank you guys for the challenge.
And, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And I'm excited. I'm super excited to have, I'm just going to say Chiro Dominance together. If Genesis Nation, if you haven't heard of this team and this outfit, as far as everything is concerned with internet marketing, from reactivations to nurturing, well, I'm going to say digital marketing to two-way texting, just tying in every piece of technology. And that's why we said, okay, we've got to integrate with them, as Genesis is a hub of technology for chiropractors. And you guys, please share your vision. Your inception. How'd you get into chiropractic?
Well, I'll start. So in the digital marketing world, we were doing some really cool things for other genres. And my chiropractor, who's a friend of mine, for a long time, he was like, "Hey man, that stuff that you're doing for the CPA and the fitness guy, can you do that for me as well?" And so I did a little whiz bangery for him, and he was like, "This is amazing. I know some other chiropractors who would love this."
Yeah.
And so he introduced me to Dr. Tim Young with the Focus Foundation Group. And, it just kind of took off from there. He was like, "This is, let's partner. Let's really, so we found that there were some really great wins that we could do for chiropractors. And we just never looked back. We stopped doing stuff for the CPAs and the fitness people and just focused purely on chiropractic. And that's how we got our start. And it's just evolved as the technology's evolved.
I'm just going to say thank you, because chiropractors need it, because we don't have big pharma pushing things and agendas down people's throats. So we need intelligent digital marketing in this world today. So Matt, when did you come on board? What's your
the story there. So I met Dar. My background in digital marketing is maybe a little bit older than Dar's. But in particular, my wife is a RDN, registered dietetic nutritionist. And so we're just very, we call it like a holistic approach to health is one that I'm passionate about, and just as a family. And so for us, like the idea of chiropractic is a regular, like for us, it's a necessity. Like we use it as just part of like healthy living is
awesome.
That type of medicine, if you will. And so already had a passion for that sector. When we met Dar, there was a strong complement of character. And then for us on the competence side of some more of like the programmatic aspects of what we were doing, of cool, fancy stuff that you can do in the digital marketing space. And I genuinely was like, I want to be part of this. And so I came in as a majority investor and became a partner in the company. And so we've been super excited about taking some of the timeless things that we see businesses struggle with and apply it to a niche, a business group that we feel strongly about. If we can help chiropractors reach more people, lives get better. And I think in the marketing space, it's way too tempting to go into certain spaces that might have high value opportunities, but don't have a lot of impact. And this has been one that's really cool to see us being able to make that experience just easier for patients. So it's more accessible. So there's more, a win-win-win where chiropractors get to have more impact. They get to have more income. They get to grow to a size that makes sense where they can align with their bigger goals. And ultimately their communities are really largely benefited, because it's surprising how many folks still don't know and don't find chiropractic health as accessible because they're just unaware.
Yeah. And now that you have, obviously you're taking some pretty impressive skill sets and putting it into play for chiropractic lifestyle. So thank you. today's topic, and we're paying attention to our avatar, which is people who like 30 minutes or less, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna just turn up the speed to 2.0 or 1.7. No, I'm just kidding. So if we got some slides, because we wanted to talk about today was burnout of your chiropractic assistant. And that could be the administrative assistant or the clinical assistant, but we've all experienced that. And I'm sure you guys have as well, just with employees. I know myself personally, I left a wake of disaster of like crying employees because I micromanaged. I had zero empathy. I wasn't emotionally aware of myself until I did my own deep work to become a better manager. So if you could show me how to throw some technology and even some marketing to my internal patients, which is what our team members are, that would be fantastic. So
Yeah, love it.
I've given you the conch. Take over, man.
Love it. So we're talking no-brainer automations to prevent your system burnouts and improve that patient experience. And for us, I think this is why we love actually for us integrating with Genesis now, very aligned, people first. Like for us, it's not just churn and burn as a business. It's like looking at a larger impact there. And so this is, if you can serve your team well, you're going to serve your patients better. And so the big problem, there's kind of threefold here, is that for all of us, our most valuable asset is limited. It's time. It's the only unreplenishable thing. And so for you as a business owner, for leader, for your assistants and for your patients, we're dealing with a constrained, resource here. And so we want to make the best of it. And so this tension is as you're looking at like, how do I improve? Working on the business is the most valuable thing, but we're always caught working in the business. And same thing for your assistants. Sure. If they could be looking at things that are categorical shifts for your patients, dramatic outsized return, but instead, what are they doing? The day-to-day, the grind. And so even though we want to be doing those big things, we're stuck doing the small stuff. And the reality is this awesome experience, we're gonna talk about this automation. We have this phrase we call like automate your awesome, because being awesome all the time is exhausting. I ran, I think it was the San Fran marathon. At the end, when we finished, they had all this, it's like powder, colors all the way. It is wild and fun and amazing, but those great experiences, even for your patients, it's almost impossible to predictably recreate if you are doing it. If it's your breath in your lungs or your CA's energy that day, because you don't know what's going on. Could be a bad morning, could be a hard time with the kids or the spouse or whatever it is. And so being awesome all the time is exhausting. And so what this all compounds into is the harsh truth is that the invisible force that is either helping or hurting our business is our reputation to your team and then to our patients, right? And so the goal, and we're going to keep it quick, is if we can make our business, we can make your chiropractic businesses, the practices more efficient so that our teams can actually delight our patients. And so a couple core principles here is blind spots. Man, we've seen all the time, you can't see what you can't see. This is why these kind of, conversations or dialogues are important, because it expands our capacity. Otherwise, we're confined to just, only seeing what we see. And so here are the 4 core blind spots we see helping, now it's been hundreds of chiropractors, thousands of patients. Here are the blind spots that we see almost every business. And this is what your prospects, your patients are saying. Can't find what I'm looking for. It's a frustration of visibility. They don't know you exist and they don't know what you do. And we'll talk about how your CAs end up filling in the gap in this. If you ever get a phone call where someone's wondering, can you help me? It is because the patient's experience or the prospective patient's experiences, they can't find what they're looking for. It is hard to find you. You are our best kept secret. Second one is none of the options look good. Now, this is also like, we'll get into it, but like if you're comparing options, we want an obvious best fit option. As people, we like this, right? I love Amazon does this really well. They show you kind of like, here's the preferred option. That's all I want to see. I don't want to actually evaluate 20 options. I just want the best. But if none of the options look good, it's frustrating. And your CAs end up filling in the gap for that. And then this one, it's 2023. There has to be a better way. Yeah. If you've ever heard anyone say this, it's like, you're like, really? This is the thing. And so if we think about like attractiveness is like, none of the options look good. This is accessibility. If you've ever, and it affects chiropractors, affects a lot of businesses. I see it in different ways, where you're like, how do I, for example, book an appointment? How do I book an appointment? Like phone is becoming the modern day fax machine. If your process for how do you become a patient is you call us, you are quickly being sunset.
Yeah, I was going to say you've already lost. Yeah,
you're becoming as relevant as the fax machine, right? I remember first time I got this is not that long ago, but I had a car insurance company, a small one out of San Diego, and they literally made me fax information into them. And I was like, man, God bless you because you're the cheapest provider. And that's the only reason I'm finding a fax machine right now. But for most of us, we can't survive that. And then,
well, that's what you don't want your cheapest provider as a chiropractor.
You don't want to be the cheapest provider. That's exactly right. If you struggle with these statements, you end up only competing on price. And so this one, nobody gets back to me. Anybody feel that? Like right now, if it takes you an hour, 2 hours a day, you're effectively ghosting your prospects. And all of these things, your CA is filling in the gaps for, right? Visibility, attractiveness, accessibility, responsiveness. These are the main blind spots we see holding practices back from basically untethered growth. If you're crushing it on all 4 of these, your problem is hiring. Your problem is, acquiring other, practices. You've got different problems you're facing. But even if you're doing moderately well at these, how many of these do we just throw off to our assistants? Hey, like people are calling in, they're having to answer the phone with people who don't know what is our core competency or if we can help them. They're having to call in because people didn't look at your website and say, I definitely want to use this person. They looked at this website and said, let me call in and see what they sound like on the phone, right? They're unsure. So your CA is now dealing with that on a day-by-day basis. People who don't know, people who are unsure, accessible, like they literally have to book the appointments manually. They're literally having to do that on the phone. And so all of their attention is working in the business, not in responsiveness. It's all on them, right? So now if I said right now, we're getting back to them in 24 hours is slow, you might be thinking, you know what? I need to go back and, it's like the what is it? The meme of like, the whippings will stop when your satisfaction improves, right?
Yeah,
you're like, you're just going to like try and like worsen the situation and hope that it improves. It's not going to work that way. Big principle here. This is awesome because we think about this in all things that we do. Pareto principle is this 80-20 rule. You maybe heard this. It's usually the small bits of things that have outsized returns. There are only a few things that if we can improve those, you get dramatically outsized. And it works in the inverse. There's 20% of things right now that are causing 80% of the headaches for your CAs. So this isn't a dramatic overhaul. It's just about zooming in on the pressure points. This is a chiropractor. Like, think about that adjustment. It's like there's probably 20% of work that you do that relieves 80% of the pain. And this has been true time and time again. And so that's, for our CAs, they're the duct tape holding it together, right? And so we want to give them a couple other levers, a couple other, mechanisms there to make it easier. And ultimately it comes down to this big practice is surprise and delight. Surprise and delight. You want to know, this was pioneered, or let's say popularized by a little company called Apple and spread through Silicon Valley. Right now, think about this. Every single year, people line up to buy a new version of the same thing they have.
Yeah.
For oftentimes more money than they spent the year before. They line up for something that doesn't exist yet to get it early for something they already have. That is because Apple has mastered this idea of surprise and delight. And how do you do that? How do you free up time so your CAs, the people who interface with your customers, actually can look at that lens? How do I delight people on a person-to-person basis? And I'll tell you, when you make an appointment at the Apple Store, you know what you don't do? Call into the Apple Store. You never do that. It is a frictionless experience, and that is why they've gained the kind of popularity that they have. And so when it comes down to the tools, we're going to break it down. We said we chiro dominance is it is part tools, part team, right? That's the magic of it. And you can say the same thing like Apple. Apple, it's a phone, but why do I go line for this phone and not an LG phone or whatever? It's because it's not always just having the tool, it's how you wield it. But that's what we're looking at is I call them NBAs. No-brainer automations. These are no-brainer automations that if you are currently doing this manually, you're causing frustration for your team, frustration for your customer. You're reducing the amount that you can pay because you're reducing the amount of time that your assistants can spend on thinking through surprise and delight things. And so our NBA number 1 is appointments, right? So we actually connect straight into Genesis on this. And right now, reminders, that communication for appointments that are happening. Here's an example of somebody right here. And you look at that. This text, the CA is not sending it. The system sends it. But you know what the customer replies back? On my way, bring in Ryan with me, right? Maybe they're bringing their significant other. They're like, it's a 2-for-1 special. You thought you were going to only get paid for 1 adjustment. I'm going to do 2 adjustments because I feel so connected, so much trust with this brand. And like I said, if you could do this one-on-one, your CAs might be doing it, but they're exhausted. They don't have the heart to tell you that you're not going to be able to scale.
And there's no automation, no scaling.
No automation, no scaling, because you got to get back and like, how do we make this a delightful experience? And so this, we're going less magical to more magical recalls. So this is the idea, looking at automating who hasn't come in an X amount of time. So this is an example of somebody just ran a couple weeks ago. These are new patients, but they're reactivations that came in from a simple automated recall. Hey, you haven't been in 6 months? I've got some openings. Maybe you want to come in, or I haven't been in. And these are auto booked from the lead. These are no phone calls. These are no CA time involved whatsoever. Your CAs don't even have to manage a list of thinking through, who do I reach out to? The system knows. And the brilliance of this is Genesis. You know,
well, yeah, that's because we already have all those data points, and
you've got all the data. And
yeah.
So we just plug into Genesis and now allow you to set the rules. You want to reach out to someone after they haven't come in for a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years. With that data, that's huge amount of value, but we put it into practice. So now you CAs don't have to do that. They focus on those delight things, right? So this was a little bit of output there.
Surprise and delight.
Yeah, and also getting that celebrations, right? So here was one. This is a birthday. So we do it for create whatever celebration you want. You could do anniversaries, you could do holidays, we could do birthdays. I love this. So this was a birthday message sent out there. You know, and think of the kind of connection that's happening with the patient here. The magic of this, which we'll get into, is that there's no actual team resources on this side whatsoever. So actually part of this and part of the magic is we're even leveraging AI on the engagement with the customer. But look at this.
Wait, so that response, oh no, that's crappy. We hope you get better. That's an AI response.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
We're teasing it out here, but this kind of a connection, you know, the reality is
empathy.
Think about this, that your true capacity is based on your capacity to delight, not merely fulfill. Too many of us have lowered the standard by which we think it is acceptable to do business. What ends up happening here is really, truly, you don't have a high capacity to delight. And so your business is stifled because we talked about that invisible force. Your reputation is blah. If you get what we do is increase your capacity to delight. So therefore, your actual true capacity goes through the roof. You start growing just unrelentlessly. You can't help it. Your business is going to do it because your customers are going to demand it. I love this quote. I don't actually have it up here, but it was a original founder of Chick-fil-A is like, if we focus on being better, our customers will demand that we become bigger. And for so many of us, we have it in the reverse. How do we get bigger? And so we want to help you become better, delight them. And so this is, you know, talk about social proof, reviews. So many chiropractors, it's like, they just we don't even ask for it. Here's an example, right? You see, it's so easy. You just ask, good, bad, you know, there's a way to do it where you focus on and so this is the effect of it, right? And so, yes, you know, we ran their website, there's SEO and stuff going on there, but it is the main decision-making protocol for most folks is who is the best.
Yeah.
I just want to know who's the best. It's the fast track of what I'm deciding on. Well, you guys know who they choosing, right? It is a no-brainer. Now, technically that first spot, someone paid for it. Woohoo, good for them. They're paying nothing and they're actually dominating the space, right? Here's the reality of what's happening here. They're throwing a party because they are dominating from a reputation standpoint. Why? Because they automated the ask. We know there's plenty of ways to do this, but I'll tell you, we are so people focused that it's not just like, we're getting beyond just the mechanism of asking. We use AI to respond to the reviews. We use those data points to consider when is the best time to ask. So yeah, it's a no-brainer automation. It's an NBA. You should be asking for reviews. You want to level that up? Think about curated requests based on the activity that's going on. That's possible because we integrate into Genesis. And this is what happens, right? I don't know these other folks, but you know, it's kind of sad, you know, four out of 5 reviews with 2 reviews and then no reviews. You know, this is awesome. Genesis, you know, chiropractor here is absolutely crushing it because we've helped them implement this NBA. And so the next one, the NBA is education, that nurture process. So many, like I mentioned it before, there's a gap still in this space. People do not know how beneficial, how healthy, and you know, necessary. In my mind, it's preventative medicine at this point. When it comes to longevity and wellness, and that comes through education. So like this kind of education, being able to automate this kind of nurture to your prospects, to your list, you know, think about this. If you had the name, email, and phone number of every person in your city, you would never need to pay for an ad ever again. All you would have to do is this, and this, the kind of like feed in content that gives people clarity in knowing what you provide, the problems that you solve. You now can compete on such a higher level because you're not spending money on ads. Honestly, you get to think about maybe giving raises to your CAs, maybe like giving bonuses based on patient satisfaction scores, right?
Yes.
Doing things that allow you to just level up prevent burnout because your CAs are no longer doing these things that, yeah, it's nice to do, but man, do they need to be doing it? Or are some of these things, processes that ultimately can be automated and create a huge amount of lift there, right? Because we choose businesses that we know, like, and trust. And too many chiropractors let people forget about them, right? They become old friends, distant memories of, like, that was a good experience. This is a practice for being top of mind. So we automate that education so you stay top of mind. So every single week you are being thought of.
Yes. Top of consciousness.
Our last NBA. Ooh, let's see if this is going to work. We pushed for a video here. Okay, let's see if it does it. So here's an example of a texting conversation, entirely AI. So we have our Chiro Dominance AI that facilitates, we call it conversational booking. We connect with Genesis, but allow folks to book an appointment into Genesis through a conversation. They can handle objections. They can handle nuances of, the priorities that they're feeling, pain areas that they're dealing with, and even scheduling. It is actually recommending actual appointment times that are available. Look at this. It's going to overcome the objection right here when it comes to, I can't do Monday. We're going to abbreviate it. I'm not even going to spell out the full day here. Anything on Tuesday. I've got Tuesday at 9:30, right? This is a process, conversational booking, where you can have AI run.
And from the tech side, it's just pulling right from our schedule.
Pulling straight from your schedules, looking at real availability that you have set for those actual new appointments. Look at this. You just saw it. Takes a minute. This is low friction, high delight. This is the kind of experience that patients rave about. And truly, they don't know this is AI. They think that you've just got a CA that kicks butt. Think about that. They walk into your office already thinking the person they're talking to is a freaking rock star. You know what happens? Kinder conversations. You know what that makes it easier for? Your CAs to surprise and delight. And so, when we're thinking about, I don't know why we're doing that again. The question we're asking here, can I afford to procrastinate on automation right now? Like, we've highlighted a few things.
I'm just going to say no. After seeing that, I'm like, no.
And this is right now, we're still at the phase where this is a unique competitive differentiation. You give this 2 years, I'll tell you, at the rate by which we are bringing on chiropractors, I would estimate in 2 years, this is now the standard. And if you are not taking it early, you are going to be left behind. And so, man, I think I did good time management. So we can do a little bit of Q&A if you want to.
I turned the speed up, which is great. No, I think you want to unshare your screen there for a sec.
I'll give you guys at least this next steps, if you guys will. That is the link. If you want to hop on a convo, if you want to talk to me or Dara or the team and brainstorm ways that we could implement these kind of solutions to take the data that you've got in Genesis, we would love to do that. Like I said, we've got, if you go to the calendar and it's, actually, I don't know what the process is. You might even be able to experience AI if you want to reach out to us. You could do the exact same process I just demoed. You could do it for yourself, or we've got, the self-booked option there as well. But, this is, like I said, this is quickly becoming, it's not old news, but standard. I would say this is a lift in innovation that goes from fax machine to phone, or phone to text. And that same thing that I just demoed there, we have that working across any channel you have. Google Chat in, Instagram, Facebook, any channel where a customer could start a conversation with you. You could have basically a 24/7 kick butt, CA. You can train it based on your protocols, based on your website. You can have all of your specific information, and it handles that with ease.
So we don't have to hire an employee to do that. You can have the employees focus on high delight.
That's it. And that's the change. So if your employee, imagine your CA's day, right? If they're thinking, man, you know what? And if you could now communicate with integrity, our priority is customer satisfaction, patient satisfaction.
Yeah.
And they get to think, what would that look like? This is the struggle. We don't have slides for this, but this idea of questions, we struggle with this all the time. I'm a new parent. Dar's got kids as well. We're parents. And the difference, it plays out in employees too. The questions we ask are oftentimes more revealing than the statements that we make. And so you might say, as a chiropractor, we really care about, patient experience. We want that. But if the question you keep on asking your CA is, have you gotten back with so-and-so? Have you scheduled the appointments? Have you done those recalls? Right? You're subtly,
technology, put it in now.
You're subtly telling them, really, I just care about you doing those tasks that could be automated. This eliminates so much of that load. So now when you say, like, what are we doing to really surprise and delight our customers? They'll think of cool, and we've seen this played out where now, the experience when someone walks in, you're greeting them by name. You have the time to know who's about to walk in. You might even, it's simple little things. Hey, can I get you a glass of water? Those kind of things. And I've seen, we had my chiropractor. I made this one simple adjustment with them. They had like a little tea and water station out in the waiting area, which is cool. You got tea and water. You make that shift by putting it behind, and you say, now your CA, when they check them in, because they're going to do their pre-work, right? Where are my pain zones? What am I going? I said, put this station behind and make that your CA's main responsibility. Review satisfactions skyrocketed on that one little shift that now
tweak.
Yeah. Right. And we modeled this after, there was an old study on restaurants. This is like a 30-year-old study, but it's funny. You might realize this still happens. Is they did a study of the mints, right? Where you bring the mint with the check, and they would do no mints with the check. They bring 1 mint with the check, 2 mints with the check, and then they would do 1 mint, start to walk away, and say, now let me give you an extra. And you can kind of imagine it went like this. If baseline was no mints, what was your tips? It was like 1 mint improved tips by, it was like 5%. 2 mints improved tips by like 7%. And the 1 mint walk away and turn around and give another improved it by like 20%. Wow. And this is a like 30-year-old study at this point. They did it outside of Chicago. And still, can you think of a restaurant where do they keep the mints? At the front door, at the exit. Yeah. Little shifts like that convey that surprise and delight. You can do it time and time and time again. But it's part of our predictably irrational behavior as humans. I feel a higher sense of delight when it feels like you're going out of your way for me.
Yep.
And you can get your CAs to predictably do that if you can relieve their time, right? Then you shift that water behind.
And it's gonna provide more fulfilling experiences in their work experience.
Oh, so yeah.
They're not the duct tape on everything burning out.
They want to be serving the clients at a high level, but like that's usually what happens. The CA experience, you come in, they're like checking in for the appointment. So they're checking them in, which maybe that's a practical thing you gotta do. They hand them the clipboard to write it in. And then what are they doing? They're answering the phone, they're scheduling things, they're doing the recalls, they're following up. They're not even remembering birthdays, but maybe if you're crushing it, you're sending out handwritten cards for birthdays, God bless you. But like, the amount of delight between a text message, remember on my birthday, and a card, it's actually not that far away. And to alleviate your CA to be able to do these kind of like in-person delight experiences dramatically revolutionize the kind of growth that you'll experience. Reviews go up. Word of mouth goes up.
Have you ever looked into or created any, I've seen some cool technology out there where you're able to send a quick video to somebody, just so it's more personal and things like that. Is that something you guys have implemented?
Oh yeah. So there's a balance here where you see in the slides as we demonstrate this stuff, we take HIPAA very seriously, of course. And so there's like a limitation of the amount we can show there. But that's a great example of some things we do. Selfies from the doctors. So just a selfie photo usually works well, or even those videos. So you could do with the automation where you could do a quick video that says, let's say you only going to run it when it's a first-time patient. Says, hey, this is Dr. Matt. Looking forward to seeing you. Just a reminder, you get here a few minutes early. We have some paper for you. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to relieving you in your pain. You record one video and that goes out every single time for a first-time patient. Yeah. That level of connectivity, they would want to give you 5 stars before they've even been adjusted. Yep. And that's the kind of thing that really gets us excited, because, it is the higher level to which we can delight our customers, it increases that reputation, that word of mouth out there in the marketplace. And the more people will be open to and excited about seeing a chiropractor. So chiropractors win, the communities win, and even your team wins, because they get that experience of seeing someone light up and be like, wow, this was a phenomenal experience, because they got to do the stuff that's kind of like working on the business and not just working in it.
This is great. Low friction, high delight, chiro dominance, period.
But wait, there's more. Have to be
yes.
in another
Dot. Yes. Not period. So I definitely want to do more episodes with you guys, because this is fantastic. I learned a ton with this, and I'm super, super excited to be partnering and being able to really build out for Genesis Nation, for our users to be able to put this into play and really get out into the public more. So thank you for this I know it was quick and we went right to it, and I appreciate the slides. They worked well and they were very good. So if you do have questions, comments, you know where to reach these guys. Also, if you want more of this stuff, I'm going to be putting more of this out. Comment below, and thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having
Thanks for having us.